Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Crimson News First at 4. I'm Tom Sherry.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Bretta Green is joining us right now because we have two major stories that we are tracking tonight. Two major legal updates, actually, involving two high-profile college head coaches right here in the area.
Yes, Nick Rolovich announced this morning that he is planning on suing Washington State University for illegal termination, and Few has pled guilty to his DUI charge. We'll start with Rolovich. We learned several details from the statement his lawyer put out today. He has not officially filed his case yet. His lawyer says that Rolovich's religious exemption was not approved by the university, and that if it was approved, Rolovich felt that the university would not have made an accommodation for him. The statement also said that Rolovich was not allowed to address his team after Chun told him that his exemption was denied and that he was escorted to his car by campus police. We also officially found out that Rolovich identifies as Catholic, which is something I asked Rolovich during this process, but he declined to answer. The Pope has repeatedly urged people to get vaccinated. Chun was heavily mentioned in the statement, which accused him of discriminatory and deceitful behavior. It was very clear that Rolovich is upset with Chun in particular. Here's more from that statement. In part, Chun's animus towards Coach Rolovich, Coach Rolovich's sincerely held religious beliefs, and Chun's dishonesty at the expense of Coach Rolovich during this past year is damning and will be thoroughly detailed in litigation. It is a tragic and damning commentary on our culture, and more specifically on Chun, that Coach Rolovich has been derided, demonized, and ultimately fired from his job. On to Few. News broke today that 5 days ago, Few pled guilty to DUI, quote, because he is guilty. He said in court, Few was ordered to pay a $1,000 fine and do 24 hours of community service by February 1st. He also has to complete an unsupervised probation. He will be given driving privileges back on November 5th just to get to and from work, but he will have an ignition interlock system on his car. That means he'll have to prove he is not drunk before his vehicle can operate. His attorney also stated that Few has already completed both the drug and alcohol information and victim impact classes. Few said in court that he was very, very sorry and that this won't happen again. More from what Few's attorney had to say. Mr. Few appears before you very humbled. This was very out of character. He has spent a long day out in the sun and thought he was okay to drive, but he was not. It's not a mistake that he will make again. Yeah, so there you go. Bretta Green, sports reporter and legal reporter.
It's a lot all for one day,
Gosh.
but this kind of brings to a close some cases that have been, out for a very, very long time.
And for Coach Few, I mean, it looks to me like he just owned up to it.
Yeah, he was very forthright in the Zoom meeting that they had for the court hearing, and took the blame for it.
Wow. And then looks like this is going to be a continuing story as far as Coach Rolovich is concerned.
The interesting thing is that WSU, normally in these situations, they just put them in litigation. People agree to pay a fine, or the school agrees to pay some sort of money to Rolovich, and we never find out what happens. The school is not going to want to pay Rolovich any money in this situation. I would be surprised if something doesn't happen in court with this.
And to be very clear, the lawsuit hasn't actually even been filed yet. That was just a statement from the attorney. Once it is filed, that is when we will learn a lot more about his claims against the university.
Correct.
It's going to be interesting to see if they can find out if in fact he was given that exemption, and it was Chun that said we can't accommodate you even though you've gotten that exemption.
They said in the statement today that he was not given the exemption.
Okay, well.
And again, that was a double-blind kind of process. You detailed that. Kind of go into that just quickly.
Yeah, so basically nobody knew when they were reviewing these. There was a team that was trained to review these exemptions. Nobody knew when they were reviewing an exemption request who was the person that was applying for the exemption and what department they were in. So this was a completely blind situation.
Okay, well, it will be interesting to see what the next steps are, Bretta.
Hardest working sports reporter in the Inland Northwest, right here.
We're lucky to have her.
Thanks,
exactly.
Thanks, Bretta.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
All right, in other news that we are continuing to track, of course, at this hour, we have a lot going on weather-wise. Things have changed, right?
Absolutely. We got all the rain. It just went the way we thought it was going to go today. Rain pretty much all day long. And then as we got into the afternoon hours, I told you we'd get a little bit of clearing, and that has happened. Right now we're at 56 degrees, and we'll look for dry conditions really to develop as the evening goes on and into tomorrow. Wind is out of the southwest right now at 11 miles per hour. We're still tracking rain. I know some areas are watching me and saying, hey, Tom, raining in my house. And you could see it right there on the Doppler radar, the rain that we are tracking still across areas of northeastern Washington and into North Idaho as well. You can see those showers. Not in the Spokane area, though, right now, and we'll continue to look for a drying trend. We'll look for patchy fog to form overnight tonight under partly cloudy skies with a low of about 39, so damp and chilly. And if we get the sunshine we expect to get tomorrow, we could warm it all the way up to 66 degrees before another cool down and more rain developing on Friday into the weekend. 56 degrees on Saturday and 54 on Sunday. I'll fill in all the blanks for you with your 7-day forecast coming right up.
All right, sounds good, Tom. Thank you. Well, overworked nurses and doctors, postponed elective surgeries, overloaded ICUs, some of the many issues that 20 active duty military medical personnel are now here in Spokane to help with. Our reporter, Nicole Hernandez, checked in with how things are running so far. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, that's right. So as of right now, Spokane is the 11th place that the Department of Defense has actually sent military personnel to help out with the pandemic response. So there's a total of 23 people specifically here in Spokane. 20 of them, though, are actual medical professionals, boots on the ground in the hospitals helping out. So there are 14 nurses, 2 respiratory specialists, and 4 physicians here. They came from 4 different Navy bases, mostly in California. The team shadowed Providence workers to learn how the hospital operates. With their help, Providence Chief Medical Officer at Sacred Heart, Dr. Dan Getz, says the hospital will be able to start putting doctors back on elective surgeries.
And it just has been relentless for over 18 months. So having support to come in and help expand our capacity as well as offer some reprieve to some of the people that have been working in that environment has been a godsend.
Providence asked the Department of Defense for this help back in August. That was when Spokane County reported a record number of COVID-19 hospitalizations. Now hospitalizations are starting to slow down, but Providence still needs help in their ICU. Providence Holy Family says that they are treating 100 COVID patients right now. That's more COVID patients in the hospital than we saw during the first surge of the pandemic in 2020. The most of the more serious cases, Providence says, are people who are unvaccinated. Live in Spokane, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Well, still to come on Crumpton News at 4 o'clock, new CDC data is giving us a better idea of just how impactful the COVID vaccine is. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you just how much more likely you are to be hospitalized for the coronavirus if you're unvaccinated.
Finish this war, or we're going to have COVID with us way too long.
Plus, we also have more coronavirus headlines, including new vaccine mandates in New York and an update on booster shots. It's all coming up after the break.